Okay, we're at day one of Teen Street, and we're talking, of course, day one, we have to talk about wisdom.
Yep.
What is wisdom? Why is it important? And, when we were discussing this, we thought sometimes we don't even have a value for wisdom. We don't actually feel that wisdom is important. So we want to today, on this first day, give kind of like a treasure. Like wisdom is a treasure. It's something we should desire. And especially when you're a younger teenager, it's wisdom sounds like old people word. Like, oh, you get wisdom when you're old. And we really want to show, like, what is this wisdom that Solomon is talking about? What is it? What is the value? What is the treasure of this wisdom?
And like you said, wisdom isn't just for the old.
Yeah.
You can be a young person and have wisdom. It is given to us by God when we ask Him for it, right? So, and we'll see that in the program. One other thing to note about the whole week, and we see this introduced on day one, is that wisdom is visual.
Yes.
Which again, people now don't think that at all, but you can see wisdom. It's not something, the world would see it as intelligence. You could have someone whose life is in disarray, but they've written a very intelligent book and they're called wise. The wisdom of heaven is very different. It touches every part of your life, from your soul and your mind out into every part of your body and the way you live. And so we're going to see that introduced on day one, that it touches the footsteps you take, the way you listen, the way you touch, what you look at. It's almost like having a big necklace on. We're going to see that today.
Yeah.
So we're going to see all week that wisdom is seen, but it starts on day one.
Yeah, wisdom is evident in our lives. If we're carrying the wisdom of heaven, it's evident. It's part of every part of our lives. And to introduce that and to kind of carry it through the week, we are going to use avatars. Okay, so we're going to have avatars, and you'll be able to see these. We'll have examples of these for you to use, and you can use them in your country however you feel that it's appropriate contextually for your country. But we want each person to kind of feel like, oh, I'm an avatar. Like I'm gonna, during this week, wisdom is going to be seen on my avatar in different ways every day.
Yeah, and so this will be at the very beginning, day one. Part of the creative side of the program will be each of the speakers introducing themselves using an avatar that they've created. And now we're not trying to give away the whole week and you're covered in wisdom, but it's meant to be a way to introduce yourself. So if you're a skater, there'd be a skateboard in your avatar. If you're, you play an instrument, it might be hanging over your back, or, it's kind of some of these things that the world would identify with you if you're describing yourself, right? So it'd be a fun way to introduce yourself using an avatar and some interesting things about yourself. But pretty quickly then the next section we'll get into the book of Proverbs, and the Proverbs have characters that run all the way through the book. And so we'll use avatars, again, videos supplied.
And some of them are kind of weird. Funny.
Oh, yeah.
They have funny names.
Yeah. Well, some of the characters would be like, of course, Solomon would be introduced as an avatar. You'd see Lady Folly, you'd see Lady Wisdom, you'd see Lady 31. You'd see these different characters that run.
We're going to explain them. Don't worry.
Yeah, we'll get there. But they run through the book, and it's not the purpose of day one to explain each of these avatars. The point of day one is that Solomon and wisdom will give you the ability to discern who a person is.
Yeah.
Good people, right? That is really important. That is something that runs all the way through the book, but introduced right at the beginning. Solomon is speaking to his son. He wants him to be able to discern good paths and good people. And so right at the top, day one, we use avatars to start piquing the interest in this understanding that wisdom is seen and that we can see wisdom and discern good people.
Yeah, I think actually if you're making t-shirts for your Teen Street, good paths, good people.
Yeah.
Good paths on the front, good people on the back. I love the little terminology, but that's so much of wisdom's call is let's walk on good paths. Let's be with good people.
Yeah.
Do you want to look at a couple of the verses?
And I think as well, if you're thinking as well, the book of wisdom, Proverbs, was written by Solomon. He keeps referring to his son, that he's left this wisdom for his son. If you think about what could be so powerful in your journey in life, would be that discernment. Again, to discern the people and the paths. And so right off the beginning, this would be teaching part one in day one would be, we look at the first 10 verses of that Solomon wrote. So he introduces himself, and then right away he starts explaining the value and the treasure that wisdom is for gaining instruction, for receiving instruction. Those very famous words right at the beginning, the wise listen and add to their learning, but the fools hate instruction. And then the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Right there, that's all in those first 10 verses. But then it gets to this beautiful line where it says, listen to your father's instruction, listen to your mother's teaching. They will be like a necklace that adorns your neck. Right? And so then right away you see again that this wisdom and this instruction is visual.
Yeah.
And so we want Avatar day one is going to have a necklace around their neck added to the avatar, and it's probably going to say something like mom on it, right?
Well, you can
Big
actually,
gold one.
you can you have it on your avatar, but it might be something creatively that you do in your program as well. It depends on how you do it, but you might want to give out some necklaces. They might want to make some necklaces, but like, let's make this kind of hang it around your neck thing really help them really remember it. So it is, wisdom is like a necklace around your neck, and you want to give them some way to remember that. And of course, an easy way is a necklace. So however you do that, but be creative with it.
Yeah. So that'd be teaching number one, and then we start getting into the origin story of Solomon's wisdom. That'd be the second part of the teaching.
Yeah, so we see Solomon's wisdom where he is sleeping and God comes to him in a vision, and God is talking to him and calling him into basically being the man that he was created to be, to walk in wisdom and to lead people. So the second teaching on day one comes from 1 Kings 3. And God shows up to Solomon while he's sleeping in a vision. And he says, ask me for anything. Ask me for anything that you want. And Solomon already knew his calling. He knew his calling because his father had spoken over him. And so what Solomon asked, I mean, it's crazy because God's saying, ask me for anything. And what Solomon asked him for was wisdom and discernment. Because he knew, I can't walk in my calling without your wisdom and your discernment. And so God gave him the wisdom and discernment that he was asking for. And so this is a great way to kind of bring out this origin story of this man who is teaching us about wisdom, how he began in his path of wisdom.
Yeah, and very clearly through Proverbs as well, it's made very clear that if we ask God for wisdom, that's the beginning of wisdom, is to ask for it, right? So that's the first story. Then we move into the final little short teaching where we see actually it's right after that origin story in 1 Kings 3, but we see wisdom seen, and we have this short little story of Solomon, two prostitutes coming to Solomon, arguing over their son. And Solomon uses this wisdom given by God to discern which was the real mother. You guys know the story. And all of Israel hears about his wisdom. So again, it's just there's a short little story. It's not meant to be a long teaching, but it's just meant as you see wisdom actually in action, being lived out.
So you will have, as well as these videos, you will have documents that actually lay out a program for day one for you. We're going to give you a document for each day. And these videos are just to help you kind of flourish those a little bit. But you can also contact us, and we'll say this a few times. You can contact the International Content Team for any help that you need as well.